Top the news cycle. His second grievance against the league will be heard on Friday. Brown is still fighting for the right to wear his now decertified helmet, but the Raider wide receiver was at practice yesterday and was wearing a legal helmet. Here's Oakland head coach Jon Gruden.
Seems Antonio's all in since he's here.
Is that a joke or what? Yeah, yeah, he's all in. That's what he said.
Did he practice today?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I gotta ask, with that helmet on.
Yes, he did. Yep.
Is it a new helmet?
It's a certified helmet, Vic. So he's all in, ready to go. That's my understanding, and really happy to have him out here. He's a great player.
Gruden and the team will be in Winnipeg, Canada tomorrow night for their Week 3 preseason game. Oakland will take on Green Bay. Now let's get you back to First Take.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you. Jon Gruden, who is on the hook with $30 million guaranteed to AB, has made it clear that he has the disgruntled receivers back. Stephen A. Smith. Should he?
No, he should not have his back. And the reason why is because, Jon Gruden is not Antonio Brown's coach. Jon Gruden is the coach of the Oakland Raiders. You've got 52 other dudes that's on that roster that are watching with a keen microscopic eye everything that you're doing as it pertains to this man. If you're acting up prior to getting your money, to speak your lingo from time to time, it makes sense. For example, when T.O. acted up when he was in Philadelphia, people forget Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, just like he's Antonio Brown's agent, was basically encouraging him to do so to get out of his contract. He needed to get out of his deal in Philadelphia so he could end up somewhere else. As a matter of fact, I think T.O. had switched agents, if I remember correctly, but I think it was Drew Rosenhaus. I'm not so sure. But the bottom line is T.O. was doing what he was doing in a very calculated and orchestrated way to get out of his deal so he could land somewhere else and get money, because it's similar to what Antonio Brown had in Pittsburgh, where the guaranteed dollars had basically expired and you would be playing under a non-guarantee or something close to that in T.O.'s case, if I remember correctly, and you just wanted more money. When you do something like that, no matter how abhorrent we might deem it to be, we're not really fazed by it because we understand you're doing it because of that reason and it's a business tactic. That's not the case here with Antonio Brown. You forced your way out of Pittsburgh. Obviously, the last game of the season, you had a different story. The Steelers basically said you quit on the team. Mike Tomlin is ultimately quoted after you were gone, "We want volunteers, not hostages." You said something about Big Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, piggybacked off that, supported you on that, et cetera, et cetera. You go out. You leave. You depart from Pittsburgh. You get traded to Oakland. Not only does Oakland give up a third and a fifth rounder for you, but they pay you an additional $30 million in guaranteed dollars. What were players throughout the league tweeting about? Way to go, AB. Way to handle your business. Get that paper. Blah, blah, blah. So they're watching you. And then you go to Oakland, and now you make a scene and turn this whole helmet issue, which, by the way, the NFL has 35 different helmet options. 35 different helmet options minimum. You got 35 different helmet options. You're filing one grievance after another. You're missing practices. You refuse to show up. You don't want to talk to people. You're going back and forth. Mike Mayock has to come out and speak out against you publicly. All I'm saying is, if you co-sign that kind of behavior, you're asking for more trouble if you're Jon Gruden.
Maybe, but you just made my point for me.
Okay.
Jon Gruden should be defending Antonio Brown just as he's defending him. And the reason is, take the story you just told.
Okay.
First of all, we all should have been questioning AB's sanity as soon as he dyed the mustache blonde.
Oh, my God. That thing gives me nightmares.
And then he starts
AB, thank you for getting rid of it.
And then he starts acting up in Pittsburgh, and you're like, yo, what's going on? But then he gets paid and he gets out. So everyone had the reaction you're talking about, Stephen A. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, he's crazy like a fox.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets to Oakland. He just got the money. He's getting the benefit of the doubt even by many. Because why, Stephen A.? You were among the first to point it out. Wait a minute. What about Big Ben Roethlisberger? What kind of responsibility does he bear here?
Correct.
and Le'Veon Bell pointed to Roethlisberger.
Correct.
So just for a half second, Antonio Brown looked like he had the high ground maybe, or maybe let's see how this plays out. And then he goes and basically has a meltdown, like temper tantrum meltdown in Oakland. And you're going, oh, wait a minute. It's not just that he's crazy like a fox. He got paid, but he's also, something's going on there, man. He's like imploding. We're watching it happen. He's melting down. So what does that really mean? What's he really melting down about? Antonio Brown, it seems to me, has ego issues. He needs to be told how great he is, treated a certain way, treated like a franchise quarterback, even if he doesn't want to behave like one. So what does Jon Gruden do? Already paid him the money. Franchise paid him money. They didn't trade a lot from a third and a fifth for a guy of Antonio Brown's caliber, one of the best who ever did it in the history of planet Earth. But they paid him the money. And they brought him into the situation. Gruden's trying to get what he can from this guy. So the way Gruden is doing it is, if this dude needs ego stroke, let me give it to him. Antonio Brown's amazing. Let me welcome him into the fold and see if by giving him that ego stroke, I can make him a part of the team. Give him what he needs to feel a part of the team. You're right, he could do it another way. I'm going to make an example of Antonio Brown to show the team that no one gets treated differently. But Stephen A., you and I both know people do get treated differently. When you work as hard as Antonio Brown has, and you have achieved at the level he's achieved, I could see a coach saying, I want guys on this roster to see the way he works. And I want that production on the team. Let me see if I can do it this way. Come on in. I would do the same thing. I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, but you're acting as if I'm saying throw the man off the team, Jon Gruden. That's not what I'm saying. You're acting like I'm saying he's not welcomed on the team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that at some point, rather than stroke his ego, all right, and that's not to say that you don't do it, but your obligation is to be on the field so I can justify stroking that ego. I got you $30 million, guaranteed $30 million.
Yeah.
You have to fulfill your end of the bargain by showing up here instead of disappearing because you fretting over the helmet issue. That's all I'm saying.
You want to butt heads for the rest of
the
year?
No. All I'm saying is Jon Gruden is perfectly within his right. You can stroke the ego while at the same time saying, excuse me, you're great, but I need you here. Come play.
He's not going to.
Here's what I think the deal is. I think Jon Gruden's playing good cop. Mike Mayock's playing bad cop. That's why he did the ultimatum thing, my humble opinion. The Lakers are scrambling to find a replacement for Boogie Cousins, but should they be in panic mode just yet? Find out that next. Little League World Series rolls on from Williamsport. 3 more games after us on ESPN, 11 a.m. Eastern. It's Jersey and Louisiana. Then South Korea plays Japan, and Hawaii squares off against Virginia.